Solving equations is probably the area of maths that people dislike the most, but you can make it really easy and logical to understand if you just follow a few simple steps. So, let's get started. When solving equations, you have to always be keeping in mind opposites. So, before we properly go into the equations, we're just going to cover two really important opposites. The opposite of plus, minus, addition, subtraction. The opposite of multiplication is division. Now keep those in mind for the following video, and you'll be fine with most equations. So, let's get started. You're sat in your exam and you see the equation 4x equals 2, and you're asked to find the value of x. Now how do you do that? When you see an equation, you always want to be thinking to yourself, how do you undo what's been done to the x? So in this case, they've had an x, and it's been multiplied by 4, and that's given 2. Now we need to undo that multiplication. So we look at our table. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So we divide by 4. Now we can't just divide by 4 on one side, we have to do it on both sides in order to keep the equation equal. You don't need to know why really, you just need to know that whatever you have to do to one side, you also have to do to the other side. Just like in a fraction, whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. Same principle. So, we divide by 4 to get rid of this 4. Now that cancels it out, leaving us with an x on the left hand side. Now what about the right hand side? We've got a 2. So 2 divided by 4 is equal to 1/2. Simple. You've solved an equation. X is a half. We can test that out. If we're saying that x is a half, then according to our equation, 4 times our x value, which is a half, should be equal to 2. If you put that into your calculator, you'll see that 4 times a half is 2. So you know that you're right. Now, let's get slightly more complicated. So, what about this? (3x minus 4 equals 2). So, same principles as before, different numbers. We look at our x, and we think, what's been done to our x? So first of all, there's been an x, it's been multiplied by 3, and then it's had 4 taken away from it. So we need to start with whatever is not on the x. So in this case, the minus 4. Now how do we undo minus 4? We think back to our table, and we think the opposite of taking away is addition. Add 4. Now we can't just do it to the left-hand side, we also have to do it to the right-hand side. So we say we add 4 to both sides. Now that gets rid of it, on the left-hand side, leaving us with just 3x. We've not changed that, we've just gotten rid of the minus 4. Now what about the right-hand side? Well, we've got our 2, we're adding 4, 2 plus 4 gives 6. Okay, now what? We've got 3x equals 6. That's still not just x on its own, because that's the aim, to find what x is. Not 3x, but just x. Now here, 3x means 3 times x. We have to undo this. To undo multiplication, we do division. Divide by 3, and divide by 3. Dividing by 3 on the left side, we did that to get rid of the 3, so the 3 goes. What about on the right hand side? 6 divided by 3 gives us 2, so x equals 2. You can check that by putting it back into our equation at the top up here. So, according to our answer, x is 2, so if we're right, 3 times 2 minus 4 should equal to 2. Well, we know that 3 times 2 is 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. So we're right. Okay, let's try another one. I'm going to write one down here. Pause. You can pause the video, give it a try, and I'll explain it. (2x minus 5 equals 9). Okay, let's go through that. So, same steps as before. We look at the x, what's been done to it? Been multiplied by 2, and then had 5 taken away from it. Now we need to do the opposite. So, the opposite of minus 5 is adding 5. So, add 5, but remember, we do it to both sides. So, by adding it, it's been gotten rid of on the left-hand side, so we're just left with 2x. Now what about the right-hand side? 9 plus 5 is 14. If you've gotten this far, you're halfway there. Now, 2x is 14. We just need x. So we need to undo that multiplication by 2. And we do that by dividing by 2. So, 2x divided by 2. We've done that to cancel out the 2, so the 2 goes. Now what about the right hand side? 14 divided by 2 is equal to 7. X is 7. Done.